Hey guys, today's theme, I guess, is story time. So I'm just gonna tell a bunch of different stories, and hopefully at least a few of them are funny. If they're not, I'm sorry, this is gonna be a long half hour. We are going to start with this incredibly ugly color. I think it's supposed to be gold. It actually looks better on camera than it does in real life, so lucky you guys. And the whole reason I decided to do this because a while back I told you guys, I think it was in my first or my second video, I can't remember, that I was talking about cake, and I was like, there's this really funny story involving my grandma and cake, and I realized I hadn't told it yet, so I'm going to tell that today, and some others. But okay, so here's what happened. My mom and her husband had their wedding, and there was cake at their wedding. It was delicious. Then they left on their honeymoon for, I don't remember how long it was, like 5 days to a week maybe. And so before they left, me and my grandma took some of their stuff home, like the cake topper, and then some of their gifts and stuff that they didn't want to take with them, and then a few other things that we were just taking home for them. And one of the things we took home was the cake, because I don't know if they were going to freeze it or what, but they let us take home the cake. So anyway, so we took the cake home, and then my week went on. After 4 or 5 days or something, I was like, oh yeah, there's cake. I love cake. I'm gonna have cake. And there was like only like a fourth of the cake left, and I was like, dang, I thought we had more than this. But so I got one piece. But like, I'm trying to be healthier, so I wanted cake every day, but I didn't. And then the next time I went to have cake, it was gone. And so then mom and her husband get home, and like the first day they're back, they're like, oh, we want some cake. And my grandma's like, there is no cake. And I happened to be in the room at the time, and my mom looks at me, she's like, you guys ate all of the cake? And I was like, I only had one piece. Like, don't look at me, look at her. My grandma insists that it was not, like, it wasn't a huge cake, but it was a good sized cake for my grandma to go to town on. And so I don't think my mom and her husband got any of their wedding cake, except for what they had at the wedding. I got like one piece, but my grandma ate the rest, and so now every time we talk about cake, because I was talking about that one time where they told me that I should probably keep all my snacks downstairs, otherwise grandma will eat them. That's all goes back to the cake. What should my next story be? Oh yeah, I told my 2 Moon friend, because you were talking about the getting your sister's door unlocked. Shortly after I moved into the basement, so the basement used to be my dad's old office, and so it had a door with a lock, because when we were little, me and my brother hung out downstairs, and we got loud and obnoxious often, and so sometimes if he was trying to work, he would just shut the door so we don't bother him. And we didn't care. We probably weren't watching anything he wanted to watch anyway. So I was downstairs, and so you know how I said I love cakes? So me and my mom got in a big argument about cupcakes. Well, okay, no, I had been talking about making cupcakes all week, and then on Friday, I was having a terrible week. I just wanted cake, okay? Cake makes everything better. I wanted cake. So I was like, I'm gonna make cupcakes, and I'm just gonna eat all of them. And so then I'm getting out the stuff. I got the cake mix, and we don't have any eggs. And so I go into the kitchen, I'm like, do we not have any eggs? And I probably said it like exactly like that. But then my mom, she's like, you didn't tell me we needed eggs. Like, I can't always just read your mind and get whatever you want and blah, 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 blah. And she went off on me. And then I don't get mad, but then eventually I just snap, and it's never a good time. And so I said some things that you should never say to your mother. This was when I was like really depressed though and stuff. Like, not that that's an excuse, but it is a little bit. And so I went downstairs, and then I shut my room, and then I locked it, and then my mom tried to call me like 3 times, and I wouldn't answer any of her calls. And then she texted me an apology, and then like an hour later I finally came out of my room to forgive her. The next day or something, I was with a friend, I was like, oh yeah, I just gotta go grab that out of my room really quick. I couldn't get back into my room. Called my dad, and I'm like, hey, do you have the key to your office in the basement? And he's like, no, why would I have that? And I was like, I didn't think you did, I was just kind of praying. So anyway, but so I grabbed a sledge. It's not like a sledgehammer, it's like a smaller one, like a more just shorter travel sized one, but it looks like a sledgehammer. And me and my mom are just down there like annihilating the doorknob, and then finally, it took a long time of trying, finally we broke the doorknob, and then we got like a screwdriver or something, and so we finally basically just annihilated the doorknob until the door opened. And so now, that was 2 or 3 years ago, and I still have the door, but I still don't have a doorknob on it. I got one, but I don't know how to put it on. And honestly, after what happened last time, it locks, and I'm afraid. I think this one is one of those stupid ones that you can just use like an old clothes hanger or something to open, but still. And I mean, no one's ever down here besides me and my dog anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This is a fun one. So my brother's really weird, and I'm convinced he has no taste buds because he burnt them all off, but he collects hot sauces. And one day, I was over at his house visiting, and he's like, hey, do you want to try one of my hot sauces from my collection? And I was like, no, I really don't, because I value my taste buds. And he's like, oh, come on, I'll find you the mildest one there is. And so he's looking, like, genuinely searching, so I was like, alright, surely he has to have one that won't kill me. And so he gets it out, and he puts just like a little drop on a tortilla chip and eats it, and like, he didn't even flinch. But I should have known that because it's my brother, that would mean nothing. That was no indication of how spicy it was. And so I ate it, and it was just like a little dot. Oh my goodness. It tasted really good for like a second and a half. And then it was so spicy. And so my brother pours me a glass of milk. And then he pours me a second glass of milk. And halfway through the second glass, he's like, oh, actually, that might have been the medium one instead of the mild one. And I'm like, why wouldn't you think to check that before you told me to eat it? Like, so anyway, then I was like, my mouth is still on fire. And he's like, well, you might die if you drink any more milk. But I had potato salad. So then I started eating his potato salad. Then he got mad at me for eating too much potato salad, but it had dairy in it, so it felt good. So then I just ate tortilla chips until I could feel my mouth again, but it was horrible. And so now whenever my brother asks me if I want to try anything, I just say no. No matter what, just say no. But I love going over to my brother's house. The last time I was over there, I think it was the last time. I haven't seen him in a while because of COVID, he's a kitchen manager and like he's working constantly. because nobody wants to work, so they don't have anyone else to work, so it's just him and the same other people every day, I think. But the last time I was there, he had one of those virtual reality headsets, the VR headsets, and he let me try it, and it was super fun. And one of the things he had was this Jurassic World thing where you put the headset on, and then the first one was super cool. It was like a long neck dinosaur, and you're standing there with the headset on, and then like it starts to wake up, then it sniffs you, then it stands up, and it's like so cool. Then it's also, wow, there's a dinosaur like a foot in front of my face. I don't know how I feel about that, but like it's a plant-eating dinosaur. I'm good. It's not gonna eat me. It'll be fine. And it was like actually a lot of fun. But anyway, so there's this other one where you're with, I don't know if you've seen Jurassic World, but the one raptor named Blue, the good one, who in the second movie like totally takes down the giant mega raptor thing that he created, because that's the thing I don't get about those movies. Who thought that would be a good idea? Did they never consider that maybe there was a reason that humans and dinosaurs weren't alive at the same time? Did they just not, like, who thought that would be a great idea to bring back a T-Rex? Or any of those. But anyway, Blue is super cool. I love her, him, whatever. So the second one he had, you're with Blue, and you're walking on this path, and you can hear things. One of those things being a T-Rex, and you know that T-Rex is somewhere around, you just don't know where. And like, here's the thing about VR, like when you're watching a movie and things get scary, like you can look away or you can close your eyes. When you're wearing a VR headset, no matter where you look, you're still there. Like you can't run away from whatever the scary thing is, because you're there, and you can't cover your eyes because you have a giant headset on your face. And so I started this, and finally I was like, I can't take this anymore. I don't know what's gonna happen. I know something's gonna happen, and I don't like it at all. And so then my niece was with us. She was like, can I try? And I was like, are you sure? And she's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, are you going to be braver than Auntie? And she's like, I'll be brave. And it was the cutest thing in the world. And so then she gets back. So then my brother puts the headset on her. He resumes it and whatever. And so she's doing it. And as she's doing it, she's like, this is kind of scary. And I'm like, it's okay. Blue's going to protect you. So she keeps doing it. And so every so often she's like, I don't know, this is scary. And my brother will be like, do you want to take it off? You don't have to finish it if you don't want to. And then she's like, no, I'll be brave. And like that happened to her. She's like, I don't know how I feel about this, but like you don't have to finish it. It's okay. And she's like, no, I'll be brave. She's so cute. My dog loves her too, because she loves to feed. So she's gotten better, but before, if my niece had food, you had to watch her, because she would just give all of her food to my dog. Like, didn't care what it was. She just wanted to share everything with my dog. And half of the stuff she wanted to share was not stuff my dog should have been eating. So one day, she was sitting on the floor eating her chicken nuggets, and then she just puts one on the ground. My dog's in the room, and thankfully I was paying attention, because Coda walks over to her. I'm like, Coda, leave it. And Coda looks at me. I'm just like, leave it. And Coda walked away. And then for the next 15 minutes, my dog would just walk around the room, come over to me, come down, go to the chicken nugget. I'd say leave it, she'd walk away. And so finally, after 15 minutes, so I just gave it to Coda, because she was being such a good girl. And oh, I love my dog. Speaking of my grandma is great, but she's older, and so she has her moments. So one time, and this story is just an example. Like, this has happened with this happened many times with many different situations, but they all go something like this. So it was my cousin, my mom, and my grandma. They were all together. I think I was working, so I wasn't with them, but I heard about the story later on. And so they were going to something, and so they asked my grandma, they were like, what time are we leaving? My grandma's like, it starts at 6 o'clock. And so then my cousin's like, okay, but what time are we leaving? And my grandma's like, it's at 6. And this went back and forth, and finally they're like, okay, we understand it's at 6, but what time are we leaving the place we are at to go to the thing that starts at 6? My grandma's like, oh, we'll probably have to leave, like, I forget what she said. Oh, I love my grandma. It's like, no, we understand that. Sometimes she just assumes what you're gonna say and doesn't actually listen. And so then it gets frustrating, but I love my grandma. She's a fun grandma. I don't like this story. This was not a good day for me. Me and my friend, we're gonna go to the mall. And so while we were gone, I thought my dog would be well behaved enough that, like, I have baby gates, so I just shut the gate, so that way she wouldn't have to go in her crate, but, like, she didn't have free reign in the house because I still don't trust her. And to this day, I've just learned you can't trust my dog, because the minute you trust her is the minute she's gonna misbehave. So I went to the mall, and while I was there, I had a great time. Like, it was a lot of fun. And then when I came back, I went downstairs, and I was very excited to see my dog, because I hoped she had behaved herself. So I opened the gate to my room, and I see two things. First off, Coda has that look on her face that she gets when she's done something horribly wrong that she knows she wasn't supposed to do, but she did it anyway, and she's just now realizing that I'm going to know about it. She has a look for that. And so before I see anything, I see her face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what did you do? And then I look. And in her crate, I had this big bag of training treats. It was a Ziploc bag. Because it was Ziploc, I just, like, kept it out because I was almost always watching her, and I never left it open. So she took this bag of training treats that was like, see this? Well, no, that's not a good representation. But anyway, so this right here, the bag was about half of one of those, and it was filled with treats. It is in her crate, open, and like she had chewed a hole in it, and there was a significant amount of treats missing. All I said was, Dakota, in my "you made me mad" voice, and she runs upstairs. And so I let her out because I knew she was partly running away and partly just had to go potty. So I let her out. But then she's not coming back in. And I'm like, you have already made me so mad, and now you are not coming back in. So I picked her up. She had already gone to the bathroom. I picked her up, took her back downstairs, and then I put her in her crate. And then I realized why she wasn't coming inside. Because she had to throw up. because she ate so many treats. So then she threw up in her crate. Oh my gosh, it was disgusting. And to this day, neither her nor I can stand the smell of those treats. But it was horrible. Like, I almost started crying. It was just so awful. And so then after she threw up, I just let her stay in her crate, and then like 45 minutes later, she has plenty of room in her crate. And sometimes if she knows I'm mad, she just prefers to hang out in there anyway, because all her toys are in there, because she keeps them all in there. I let her out, and thankfully she was okay. Like, she didn't, apart from just being sick, she didn't have any problems. But now all of her treats get locked away somewhere where she cannot get to them at all, ever, no matter what. But I also ride horses, and one time, in horseback riding lessons, I think I told this story in one of my blog posts one time. They used to do this weekend thing where you could come out and ride a horse. Like, you basically just get to lease the horse for like a half an hour, or an hour. It was like $15, and you could just ride around and do fun stuff. Me and my horse friends loved it, so like we'd almost always go together. And so one week, I got there a little late, and my friends were already on their horses. And so here's the thing. In horseback riding lessons, my teacher had told me time and time again, you have got to hold on to your reins when you get on. And I always said, oh yeah, because that's always a very reassuring answer to anything. My friends were all on their horses. I had just gotten Melody, that was the horse's name I wrote at the time. I had just gotten her all tacked up and ready to go. Took her over to the mounting block and lined her up, and didn't hold on to my reins because I didn't do that. My horse was lazy. I didn't need to worry about that, or so I thought. So I go to get on. I've got my leg almost swung over the saddle, and then Melody just starts walking away, and I lose my balance. And so I have one foot in the stirrup that's connected to the saddle, and one foot hopping along helplessly on the ground, trying to get her to stop. I didn't even know I was that flexible, so that was kind of cool. And of course, and my friends were like, oh my goodness, are you okay? They're all just laughing hysterically, absolutely no help whatsoever. And finally I get her to stop, and I get my foot out of the saddle. And so then I tried again, and I held on to my reins. Didn't have any problems. Then at lessons the next week, I told my instructor, I was like, yeah, she just walked off while I was getting on. And my instructor just looks me in the eyes, and she's like, were you holding on to your reins? And I was like, oh crap, I don't want to answer that. But now I always hold on to my reins when I get on, and I make sure everybody else holds on to their reins when they get on, even if I'm also holding on to the horse. I feel like as much as I've worked on this, I should have more done, and I don't, and that makes me very mad. But it's cool. I'll do one more story, or two, I don't know. I usually end up editing quite a bit. Oh, okay, yeah. I can't believe I forgot about this one. So, there's this jerk I went to school with. And because I'm going to be the bigger person again, I am not going to tell you her name. It was Desiree. And so there was this girl whose name was Desiree. And she was really, really mean. And literally told me to go die in a black hole, decked me in the back of the head at lunch. And so, to punish her, they switched my lunch around to a different period, so I no longer got to eat with my friends. But it turned out that I just didn't get a lunch period at all because I had to catch a bus to another school for my graphic design animation program. But anyway, so she was really mean. But like 4 years or so after I graduated, I got a message from her on Facebook. She's like, hey, hi, it's been a while. Because I had unblocked her like a year earlier. Because she was blocked before that. And she's like, hey, it's been a while. How are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I've been pretty good. How are you? Because like I'm all about giving people second chances. Like I'm a firm believer nobody makes their best life decisions when they're in high school. Like no one's proud of how they acted in high school. Or maybe some are, but I'm not. So we're talking. And then she's like, oh, by the way, if you don't mind me asking, what happened? Didn't you like used to be skinny or something? I know, she messaged that, almost that, pretty much that exact thing to me, to my face. Like, not even behind my back, where I might not hear about it. And so I responded to her, like, wow, that was kind of rude, but if you must know, found out I really like food, tastes really good. And then her response to that was, I wasn't being rude, you just took that the wrong way. And so then I blocked her again. And also, Desiree, since you sent me that text message, I have lost over 40 pounds. And I could say something else right now, but I'm not going to, because once again, I'm going to be the bigger person. I think next, I might work on this part some more next time. But, I mean, I guess we'll just do little segments at a time. It might be a year before I get this finished, but my Twitter's blowing up right now, so I'm going to go check those messages. Thank you for watching. And, Desiree, if you're watching, just because you were a jerk to me doesn't mean I should have been a jerk back. And I'm sorry, but I wasn't kidding when I said I lost 40 pounds, so boom. Anywho. To the rest of you, I should probably edit that out. Oh, this is getting... Maybe I should unblock her, so that way she can see pictures of what I don't post any pictures of me, because I don't like taking pictures of myself, but I should, just to really irritate her. No, that would be terribly rude, and you should never do that. You should always be the bigger person. Fighting fire with fire just get you burned. It's not a good thing. Do as I say, not as I do. I'm a terrible influence on you all, and I'm sorry. Go read my blog. It's full of nicer, better advice. That is good advice that will get you far in this world, unlike the things you have heard today. All this does is just put all the beads into place, and I also like it because I hope it helps get the sticky stuff to stick back to it. I'm sorry that got a little petty at the end, but she was so mean to me. And like, she was an adult, and then she was still mean to me. And they changed it to my lunch and not hers. And it's one day I'll get over it. Until then, oh my gosh, 17 minutes. I am so sorry. Goodbye.